When we're younger, our lives are surrounded by the friends that we have. And as we get older, we need to start asking ourselves some questions. Who are the real friends that we want to have around us, and what are we supposed to do about the negative people that we might not want to have so much to do with? In this video, I want to break down a couple of different ideas about friendship and how far you should go to find them. Hey, welcome back to the channel. If you're new, my name is Bennett, and I'm here to just share some ideas to help you live a richer life. To start off, we really need to understand what a friend really is. And it might sound obvious, but is your coworker a friend? Is your bank teller that you might see all the time your friend? And the truth is we have friends and we have acquaintances. A friend is the type of person that we might call, we might speak to, we might have a deeper conversation with. While an acquaintance is somebody we might be having something to do with and even spending a lot of time, but we're not going to be so involved with them in our free time. And I think it's very important to differentiate between the two. So many times people talk about the friends that they have, but really they're just acquaintances. They might see that only on the weekends, or maybe they're a neighbor. But understanding the difference is going to be the first step in order to find out who it is that we really want to have in our friend group. Because just like you have a different relationship with your spouse and your parents, hopefully, so too we got different relationships with different types of people, and it's all totally fine. And I think if we could start to acknowledge that, we can start to go down this hole of really finding out who our friends are. The next thing we need to understand is, how do we actually become friends with somebody? And there are really three different ways that we could become friends with somebody. The first way is by really just spending so much time with them. And for many of us, we might have had some childhood friends that we're so close with, and when we look back, we're so confused about the fact that we didn't necessarily relate to each other so much. But because we spend so much time with one another, we ended up melding our relationship, and just by the sheer amount of time that we have with them, we end up becoming close with them. The second type of friendship that somebody might have is a more in-depth type of relationship. You see, there's certain people who, when you talk to, you just understand that they get you, and there's this trust that you can build with them. It happens many times when people are looking to get married and they're dating somebody, and they're just trying to find out if this person is going to be the one for them. And what has to happen is that you have to start to open up and really understand the other person on a deeper level. So even if you haven't spent so much time with them, but if you're able to have a deeper relationship with them, you're able to grow in a friendship together. And the third type of relationship is going through an experience with somebody. The experience could be a positive one or a negative one, but that experience is going to bond you guys together and really keep you guys close regardless of what happened. It could be as exciting as winning a championship together with your team that you can now share for the rest of your lives, or even a group of soldiers who go to war together. Those experiences bond you, and regardless of what happens, you're going to have that connection with them. And it's really important to understand these three different distinctions, because one of the most common questions that I get as people become adults is, I don't have so much time for my friends, or how much effort should I be putting out there? And we have to understand that although we might not have that first type of friend where we can just spend hours and hours and hours with them, what we can understand is we can have a deeper relationship, or we can create an experience with somebody to increase the relationship. So if you're looking to get more friends and you're older, or maybe you just moved to a new community, understand that you don't necessarily have to be spending so much time with them, but you could start to have deeper relationships and the experience in order to increase that friendship. And that being said, if you're looking to be the person who's going to experience a type of relationship, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you can get more videos and we can start to build this friendship in a more deeper way. The next thing we need to ask ourselves is, how are we supposed to get rid of negative friends? You see, so many times we might have certain people in our life and they might have become friends or put in our circles out of default. But what are we supposed to do if we don't necessarily want to be having those people as our friends? And I think it's really important because Jim Rohn talks about how you need to really focus on the 5 closest people around you. We have to understand that the gap is going to have to get filled. So many people sacrifice years of their lives, their own success in finance or health, because they have certain people in their circles that are just bringing them down. We all know negative people in our lives, and certain people would say just forget them, get rid of them. But as long as they're not in the closest circle, it's going to be something that's going to be able to help us. I one time had a client of mine who came over to me who said, Bennett, there's a friend of mine up from high school who was not a great influence on me. I don't want to get involved with the stuff that he's going through. What am I supposed to do? And we sort of made a game plan, because he didn't want to just reject him and say, we can't talk anymore, but he made sure that it was done on his terms, and there was a certain amount of time that it was going to be able to do. And there's going to be a certain amount of time that they were going to be able to hang out. So by taking control over the relationship and not letting that person just take advantage is going to be something that could be able to help succeed in that friendship. And this brings me to my next idea, because maybe you're the type of person who maybe doesn't really want so many friends. So what are you supposed to do about that? And I think it's really important to understand that it's really important for us as humans to socialize. And if we could put ourselves out there and have conversations and just relate to other people, it's only going to be able to help us develop into who it is we're going to become. So I highly recommend having at least a small group of friends that you can be able to get out and speak with, because it's only going to be more beneficial to you. When I used to work in high schools, the biggest problem with everyone having their phones and being on social media all the time was that nobody knew how to socialize anymore. And unfortunately, it's one of those skills that people just don't know how to do. And therefore, I even made a video in terms of how to have small talk for somebody who's having a difficult time having a conversation. So make sure to take a look at that video. The only thing I'd be aware of when it comes to socializing is that we don't necessarily want to be putting ourselves in a certain group just because of the status that it gives us. So many times people want to make themselves feel better, and they start to act or do certain things in order to be associated with a certain group, but they don't realize that they're not being their true authentic self. And all it's doing is really hurting their own self-esteem and their self-worth. So although you're looking to socialize, try to find people who you relate to, because just like you might want to have more friends, there are other people out there who are also looking to have more friends. If you can find the right person and somebody you just connect with, it can be a great way to continue building your group of friends. And this brings me to my last point. What is considered a good friend? And I'm sure there's a bunch of ideas and people have different examples in terms of really good friends that really were there for them. But number one is understanding that a true friend is only going to be looking out for you and your own success. So many times as we grow up, we see certain people who maybe we were close with get a little jealous and make certain comments to us. And we have to understand that a true friend is there to help us grow. And a true way to gauge that is if that person is willing to hear you out when you have to tell them something that might be constructive. So many times our egos step in and we take offense to certain things that people might say to us. So if we have that ability to say something to somebody else or even hear something from someone else and they're only doing it for our own true benefit, that is a great sign of a great relationship. And the second idea of a good friend is somebody who you can trust. It's the type of person that even if you're not near them, you know that they have your back. I'm so grateful to have a couple of people like that in my life that I know if I needed a loan or I needed them to come pick me up an hour or two away, they wouldn't even ask me why, but they would just do it. Finding those types of people in your life that you can trust and know that they have your back, even when you're not with them, can give you the confidence that you can try certain things and put yourself out in a certain way, knowing that you're not alone. It's one of the attributes that I constantly work on to try to portray to the friends that I have, just so they know that I'm going to be there for them. So who are those people in your circle that you need to bring in, and who are the other people that you really need to start to distance out? Let me know what other questions you have down below, because this is an amazing topic. I'd be happy to make another video on it. Friends can be really tricky, but at the end of the day, we need to do what's best for us, and hopefully can match what our friends are trying to look for. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you like this video, make sure to take a look at this next one.